What do you think about the astronauts recently recovered by SpaceX? What do you think about their chances suing the Biden administration for intentional infliction of emotional stress, for leaving them up there for 8 months instead of 8 days? Or on the other side, suing for overtime because as salaried employees of NASA, they don't qualify for overtime even though they spent 8 months in the International Space Station. I'm Philip Miller, I'm the Rogue Lawyer, and this is my legal opinion. I think those two astronauts have a fairly decent case for additional compensation resulting from them having to stay up there 8 months. Like the military, they sign on for danger that most people don't, but to be stranded up there for 8 months because Boeing couldn't bring them down, I think Boeing has some obligation to those families because staying up there for almost a year as opposed to 8 days, probably going to take a decade off their life and give them a lot of health problems. Boeing, if it was a company that took its mission seriously, would compensate those astronauts because it's the failure of their Starliner program to be able to get up and back with the astronauts that caused them the harm. Now, the question that follows from that is, did the Biden administration do everything they could to get them back to America? It doesn't look like it to me. Now, we're not supposed to leave our men and women behind on the battlefield or in space. But when the Boeing Starliner program failed, one alternative was to ask the Russians to do it. But a proud nation doesn't want to ask its adversary to save its own people. But once they decided they wouldn't use the Russians, I believe that Biden didn't want to work with Elon because Elon was on Trump's side. And I think that there was deep political reasons to not allow SpaceX to get a big W on the board while Elon was supporting Trump. And there was some interference played. Now, the problem from a lawsuit perspective is you need to get good evidence of that. Most people who are doing nefarious things or bad things for political purposes don't leave a clear breadcrumb trail. So you're probably not going to see an email from Biden saying, F those astronauts, I don't want to give Elon a win. But what happens in reality is that political motivations will often submarine good ventures that help people. And so I think, unfortunately, and this has happened to many military people over the years and police officers, you get sacrificed because the political masters who don't share your threat deem you replaceable. And that's tragic from my perspective. I would have loved to have seen the Biden administration do anything in its power to get those two people back, including, even if it was distasteful, working with Elon Musk, who just happens to be the smartest human being on the planet. But Biden and his aides obviously don't like being around people smarter than themselves, and so wouldn't work with him. The effect and consequence is that those two astronauts probably have lifelong ailments as a result of being left up there for 8 months. It'd be an interesting lawsuit for a lawyer with a huge set on them, but it would be something that would be interesting to do. But I think in the meantime, those astronauts deserve some compensation. They deserve a little bit of overtime because at a salary of around $160,000 a year, they make a fraction of what these NGOs were making, and they sacrificed for the nation and got left behind up in space and look like they're getting left behind on the ground. Tell me what your thoughts are. Until next time.